He was the most feared Korean mafia boss, sent to eliminate me. But the moment he saw me, everything changed. What happens when love clashes with power and death? I never thought moving to Seoul would change my life forever. My name is Amara, and I came here chasing a dream. One filled with music, colors, and endless streets to explore. But the city wasn't just bright lights and excitement. It had shadows, too. Shadows that followed me in ways I couldn't imagine. From the very first day, I noticed the difference between here and home. People moved faster, eyes were sharper, and every street corner seemed to hide a story. I tried to fit in, learning the language, laughing at jokes I barely understood, tasting spicy tteokbokki from street vendors, and sharing my own flavors, jollof rice and fried plantains, with the few friends I made. But there was always a pull, a feeling that someone was watching. At first, I thought it was paranoia. Maybe it was the city, maybe it was just me. But then I noticed the man. He never approached. He didn't need to. Just his presence made people step back. He was tall, always impeccably dressed, and there was something in the way he moved. Calculated, dangerous, magnetic. People whispered his name like it was sacred or cursed. I didn't know it then, but that man was Kang Jun, the most feared mafia boss in Korea. Every story I had heard about him, every news clip and rumor, painted him as untouchable. No one crossed him. No one lived to tell the tale if they did. And yet, here I was, oblivious to his world. My life was simple, or so I thought. I worked at a small cafe, tried to learn Korean pop songs for my own music, and occasionally missed home. I laughed a lot, even when I was scared. But the city had plans for me, and somehow, Kang Jun was at the center of them. I first saw him in the alley behind the cafe. I was carrying a tray of steaming cups, humming a tune from back home when I sensed it, that pull. A shadow detached itself from the darkness. My heart raced, but I told myself it was nothing. A passerby. Just a man. But he didn't pass. He stopped. And then for a moment he looked at me. Not like people look at strangers, but like they see every secret, every fear, every dream. I froze. He didn't speak. He didn't move. Just watched. And I felt something strange, a mix of fear and something else. Something I couldn't name. That moment passed, but the feeling didn't. Over the next few days, I noticed little things. A shadow across my window at night. A man always near when I walked home. A black car that seemed to appear wherever I went. I told myself I was imagining it. I tried to focus on my music, my life, my friends. But then, the whispers began. "Do you know who he is?" someone asked at the cafe. "The man you see everywhere?" I shook my head. "They say he kills without hesitation," they said, lowering their voices. "And yet, he's looking at you." I laughed nervously. Surely it couldn't be real. A mafia boss noticing me? Me? An ordinary girl trying to find her way in a foreign city? But the truth is stranger than any story. One night I was closing the cafe when I heard footsteps behind me. My heart slammed against my chest, but I forced myself to turn calmly. There he was, Kang Jun, standing in the dim light. Not a shadow this time, real, breathing, and closer than I thought possible. "You walk alone," he said, his voice low, almost gentle. But there was an edge to it, something that made my blood freeze. I usually do," I stammered. He nodded, as if considering my answer, and then he said something I'll never forget. "It's dangerous to walk alone in this city." I wanted to smile. I wanted to laugh it off. But I couldn't. Because for the first time, I felt the weight of his world, the danger he carried, the power he commanded. And somehow, the pull I felt in that alley grew stronger. Over the next week, I saw him more. Not close enough to touch, not close enough to speak, but always there, watching, waiting. I couldn't understand why, but something told me I wasn't just another stranger in his city. And then came the day I realized I wasn't. He didn't just watch me. He had a reason that could cost me my life. And yet, even knowing that, even feeling the danger in the air, I couldn't help but feel something else. Something I didn't expect. Something that would change everything. Because the man sent to kill me had already fallen for me. After that night, I couldn't stop thinking about him. Kong Jun. The name alone made my skin tingle. Every time I walked past the alley, every time I felt the city's pulse in my veins, I imagined his eyes on me, watching, calculating, searching. It wasn't just fear anymore. Something had shifted. My heart beat faster when I saw him, and I hated myself for it. A mafia boss, someone who could crush me with a single decision. And yet, when he appeared, the world around me seemed to fade. And the first time he spoke to me in the cafe, it was brief, almost casual. "You like the music?" he asked, pointing at the small speaker where I was playing a song from home. I froze, my hands trembling slightly as I held a cup of coffee. I do, I said. "It reminds me of home." He nodded, then something unexpected happened. He smiled. A small, almost human smile. And just like that, my fear tangled with curiosity. Over the next few days, our encounters became more frequent. Not conversations, but moments, brief exchanges, lingering glances, gestures that meant something I didn't fully understand. He learned a few words in my language, surprising me with "Amara, safe," whenever I looked nervous. I laughed the first time, embarrassed and amazed. How could someone so powerful care about a single word? And he began to teach me, in his own way. Korean traditions, the unspoken rules of his world, the rhythm of the streets at night. I shared my own world with him too. My music, my family, my favorite foods. I remember the first time he tried jollof rice. His serious face breaking into a laugh I'll never forget. That moment, it felt normal. As if danger didn't exist. As if he wasn't a man whose name carried fear across the city. But danger never really disappears. One evening, as we shared a quiet moment on a rooftop overlooking Seoul's neon skyline, I felt it, the weight of his world, pressing down. "Why are you really here?" I asked softly, trying to catch his gaze. His expression darkened, and I felt the tension coil like a spring. I was sent," he admitted, "but I can't do it anymore." I froze. My pulse shot through my chest. He was the man who was supposed to kill me, and yet here he was, confessing that he couldn't. "Why not?" I whispered. "Because..." His voice trailed off, and for the first time, I saw vulnerability in him, a crack in the armor. "Because I see you, and everything else doesn't matter." I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to run, to escape, to tell myself that this was impossible. But another part, something deep inside, wanted to reach for him, to trust him, even though every instinct screamed danger. And that's when I realized love didn't care about rules, orders, or worlds colliding. Love was reckless. Love was dangerous. And love could get you killed. Our connection grew in the shadows. He taught me to navigate the city safely, always careful, always alert. I learned the signs when someone was following, when danger was near. I became a part of his world, even if I didn't fully understand it. But the city wasn't blind to what was happening. Rumors began to swirl. Friends warned me. "Amara, stay away. You don't know what you're getting into." I smiled, brushing it off. "I know exactly what I'm getting into," I told them, even as my stomach twisted with unease. And then the first real test came. A rival gang, jealous of Kang Jun's attention, cornered us one night. I didn't see them at first, but he did. He moved like a shadow, silent, precise, deadly. And in that moment, I understood. This was the world he lived in, and I was part of it now. He protected me with a ferocity I couldn't describe. I had never seen a human move like that, so controlled, so dangerous, yet so protective. And as I watched him, something shifted again inside me. The fear intertwined with desire, danger intertwined with trust. When the fight ended and the rival gang disappeared into the night, he looked at me, his eyes softer than I'd ever seen. "You shouldn't be here," he said, his voice low, almost a whisper. "But I am," I replied, my voice trembling. "And I want to be." That night, as the city slept beneath us, I realized the truth I could no longer ignore. Kang Jun wasn't just a man I was supposed to fear. He was the man I was beginning to love. And loving him meant stepping fully into a world I had never imagined. A world of power, danger, and secrets that could destroy us both. And just when I thought I understood him, I realized the biggest challenge wasn't surviving his enemies. It was surviving the consequences of the heart. Because in this city, love and death often walk the same streets, and we were about to discover just how close they could be. The days that followed were filled with whispers and glances, with moments stolen between shadows and neon lights. I knew the truth now. He wasn't just watching me anymore. He was protecting me. And I was beginning to understand why. He couldn't let me go. But then came the moment I dreaded. I discovered his secret, the truth that should have terrified me completely. One evening, I returned home to find a letter slipped under my door. The paper was simple, the writing sharp and deliberate. "You don't know me. You don't know the danger. Step away now, or you will die." My hands trembled. I knew immediately. It was a warning from his world. A world I had stepped into without realizing the cost. I felt fear. No, but stronger than fear was the pull I still felt toward him. I confronted him the next day. "Why didn't you tell me?" I demanded, my voice shaking, my heart pounding. He looked at me, the man I had begun to trust, the man I was beginning to love. "Because I couldn't. Because if I did, you would have left. And I couldn't let you leave." It was true. And I wanted to hate him for it, but I couldn't. Not completely. My heart betrayed me every time he was near. The danger escalated quickly. Rival gangs and betrayers in his own organization were closing in. I could feel it in the air. The city seemed heavier, darker, every alley more menacing than before. And in the middle of it, Kang Jun became more human, vulnerable. He laughed less, he smiled less. And yet, every time I was near, he softened. Just enough to remind me of the man behind the legend. One night, the inevitable happened. The rivals found us. It started with shadows creeping into the cafe where I worked. I froze, but he acted before I even realized it. Like a storm, he moved. Precise, terrifying, protective. And yet, he hesitated. Because in his world, hesitation can be deadly. "Amara!" he barked, pulling me behind him. "Stay close! Don't move!" I obeyed, my heart thundering in my chest. I could see the danger in his eyes, the calculation of every move. And yet, I also saw something else. Something that made my chest ache. He was risking everything for me. Every rule, every order, every piece of his empire. He was risking it all. For me. After the fight ended, with the rivals retreating into the shadows, we sat together on the rooftop where it all began. My hands shook as I looked at him. "Why me?" I whispered. He didn't answer at first. He just held me, letting the city's lights wash over us. And then he said softly, "Because you're the only thing that makes me want to be something better, even in a world like mine." I leaned into him, my heart finally accepting the truth. Loving him wasn't safe. It wasn't easy. It was dangerous, reckless, and terrifying. But it was real. And in a life full of shadows and secrets, it was the only thing that felt like light. The days after that were quieter, but the tension never left. We were two people from different worlds, her, an African girl chasing her dreams in Seoul, Him, a Korean mafia boss feared by all. And yet somehow our worlds had collided in a way neither of us could escape. And we celebrated small victories together. A meal shared under the neon lights, a laugh over a shared joke, a quiet moment listening to music from my home. These moments, fleeting as they were, became our lifeline. But the city and his world would never truly let us be safe. Danger lurked in every corner. Betrayal could come from anywhere. And love itself, could be the greatest risk of all. I learned that night that survival wasn't just about avoiding enemies. It was about trust, about connection, about risking your heart when everything in the world tells you not to. And as I looked at him, the man who was supposed to kill me but didn't, I realized something terrifying and wonderful all at once. I loved him. And in this city of shadows and neon lights, that love was our greatest weapon and our greatest threat. Because in the end, surviving the mafia wasn't enough. We had to survive each other. Do you think love can survive in a world built on lies, power, and danger? Comment below what you would do if the person meant to destroy you fell for you instead, and hit subscribe, because you won't believe what is coming next.